Hey family, how's it going? Let me just tell you about Genesis the Harmony, the movie that Pastor John Anosike produced and directed. I just finished watching it about an hour ago, and my biggest takeaways are this. In the Garden of Eden, when Adam was there before the creation of Eve, he was eating from trees, and the trees represented princes or kings or rulers of realms. So he would partake of the fruit, and then all of a sudden he would enter into the realm of that creature and receive all of the knowledge that was held by that realm and creature, which is really fascinating, and I know is true. Like, my spirit tells me it's true. I know that's true. I never realized that before. Like, I never thought of the Garden of Eden as a supernatural realm where man would govern over Yahweh's creation. I always thought of it kind of like the earth, but just a perfect physical earth. But I never connected the spiritual aspect of it, which was amazing. Also, I loved seeing the fall of God's creation before Eden was made. I never knew that. And I don't think someone can really learn that from the Bible. You won't learn that from the Bible. So it is like revelatory knowledge in the film, which is good. Which is, well, more than good. Is exciting. It's fun. So that part was really cool. I didn't really like the first part where the man was with his family and telling his family about creation. I feel like that was kind of just not a good way to start it out, but whatever, Also, it seemed the first, the introduction was kind of a little bit low quality, in my opinion. Not bad, but just not as exciting as I would have expected it to be. And I didn't expect it to be extremely action packed or extremely this or that, but I feel like compared to the rest of the film, the introduction was a little bit of a letdown. That's just my opinion. I very much liked the knowledge gained, and once I got watching it, I was very interested, and I appreciated the new understanding of how Adam was to govern the creation of God. Because as sons of God, that will become our role in future, because God's eternal plan will come to pass because he is God and nothing he says or decrees will ever fail. But because of the fall of man and because of the rebellion of Satan and weakening Eve to take the fruit and this and that, thwarting Yahweh's plan, God's plan. But overall, I really like the film, and I do think it's worth $4. I don't think that's a very high price to pay. I think that it could have, I think it could have been a little bit more, I don't know. I think it was good, actually. I think all Christian films are a little bit more on the knowledge side, because you can't really twist the story at all. You have to make it exactly how the truth is, right? So that's kind of how Christian films are. So I recommend it. I don't think it's too violent for kids if you've explained to them the concept of good and evil previously. If they're just getting introduced into it, if your child has never thought about it before, I would say probably don't show it to them, because it's a little more violent than it needs to be for someone who doesn't watch violence. What I mean is, if your child has not been exposed to violence yet, maybe talk to them about it first. But if they already watch violent films, then I would say it's fine for children. I think the biggest value of the film is, at least for me, in my opinion, was realizing the domination of man. Realizing the domination of man. How man will dominate all of God's creation. That gave me like a new perspective on the role which we will play. So I really like that. And then also the fall of creation, because in the video it showed like there was extinct creatures that no longer exist now. And also I never thought about how really everything has already existed, because there's scripture in the Bible that says there is nothing new under the sun. So really all of the civilizations have already existed, which I never thought about that before. I mean, I never really grasped it before, but I think the film portrays that well. And so anyways, guys, I guess my thoughts are it's pretty good. It does seem like it's on a little bit of a budget, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not like a super spectacular movie, but I think the value in it is correcting your thinking, especially if you just read Genesis. Like, I will read Genesis real quick, just a few verses from it, and I will explain like what I'm talking about if you haven't watched it. So when I read Genesis, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters." Okay, for the average reader, you will not understand the level of complexity and what's a good word to describe it? The level of depth and knowledge that went here. And I'm sure that's God's plan, because the average reader who is just going to be saved is not going to need to understand all of this. But if you really are interested in the deep things of the Spirit, the deep things of God, to know the heart of the Father, this movie will help with that, because seeing just those two verses were basically covered like very thoroughly in a way that you can't imagine without really God showing you. Oh, and also before these two verses, it's not even in the Bible. So it means it must come through revelation from God. And if your spirit agrees with it, then you will know it is true. So for those reasons, I like the movie. I approve of the movie. I think it was well done. Mostly the introduction was a little like under budget in my opinion, but other than that, God bless Pastor John for making the movie and distributing it for us to watch. And those are my thoughts. See you guys.